Greetings, friends, fans, followers, and GWA land. This is Priest of Aphrodite. This is a quick audio editing tutorial. All right, this is Audacity, and this is a recent collaboration recording that I did with my friend Mr. Mooney. The top here is Mooney. The bottom half is my recording. And I wanted to show you a couple quick differences in them and how they work and operate. So anytime I look at a recording, I can quickly see visually where there's going to be some problem areas just based on sort of visual editing, right? So here's an example. Anywhere that these audio spikes are near the top or going off the chart, that in the audio world is referred to as clipping, meaning the signal's reached its maximum possible potential and it could potentially damage amplifiers and speakers. Now in the sound world, especially like music reproduction, etc., that's bad. You want the sounds to be loud but not trying to overdrive. In narrated content like we have, it's not usually a problem. It just potentially sounds bad. But in looking at any audio, I can quickly identify basically where some of those potential problems might be. So visually that's the case. All right. So there's something else that I notice immediately on this, and that's what's going on in the quiet spaces. So you look at the peaks specifically here, and in this area, and well, there's others like in here. There's some ways to fix some of that if it sounds bad, but then you also look at the quiet areas because that's essentially the background noise. So like in this audio, I can see here, that's pretty quiet. There's not much going on in there. You can hear occasional stuff like this. That's actually probably breaths or very minor stuff going on in there. However, on Mr. Mooney's track here on top, you can see there's quite a bit of noise. I don't know if it's easy to see on the video, but there's a lot of little audio signals going on in here, basically. And there's not so much on this. So some audios have a lot of background noise. You have to get rid of it. Some don't. So how do you do that? Okay, so fortunately, Audacity has some pretty quick audio noise reduction. And this is what I do the very first time when I get a audio recording, when I make one, etc. I simply highlight a blank area. You go to Effect, Noise Reduction, get a sample, select the whole audio, and then apply the noise reduction. You can have settings here. Typically the default settings work fine, but you can go watch some videos and play with them. All right, so depending on your computer, might take just a minute to crunch the math. Fortunately, I'm on a fairly high-end computer, so even though this is a 35-minute audio, boom, there you go. Now, already, this reduced quite a bit of the noise that was going on in here and some of the spikes and things, but probably still some of that. So there's a couple other things that I also do to every audio recording to clean it up, and I do them right up front. Another one, and I do it in the order I'm showing you, by the way. So noise reduction first. Get rid of any extraneous noise you can. Depending on the audio and depending on how clean it is, you might have to do what's called click removal. Some audios need that, some don't. Here I'll go ahead and apply it. You can play with the settings, but I'll leave the default ones, and we'll visually watch what it does. So if you notice any of the spikes there that were kind of harsh, clicky noises, right, especially all this stuff in this area, it got rid of most of it. So that's great, right? This is an area that should have been quiet. You can see down here I'm doing all the talking, and it's getting rid of that. But it also gets rid of stuff you couldn't see in here. You can't do it more than once. Well, you can, but you shouldn't. If you repeatedly apply the same effects, you induce a lot of digital noise and weird stuff. All right, so I don't use click removal a lot, but I wanted to show you what it did. Okay, so it went from being, let's solo this so you can hear it. Oh, I don't know if it'll play. I have no idea. Okay. So I hope you could hear that. If not, it's little clicks. Sounds like he was probably bumping the mic or something. So I'm going to go ahead and reapply that. Redo. All right. Don't always do click removal, sometimes. The other one that I always do is compress. There are default settings here. Generally, you don't need to change them. I do a little more compression on some things than others, but you don't have to learn about that. Default settings are good most of the time. Okay, 2-to-1, 3-to-1 compression is good. Now this will do a couple things. All right, if you notice, it took some of the peaks that were up here and reduced them. That's good. It's bringing some of our high stuff a little lower so that we can potentially amplify the lower stuff. Because you can basically only amplify things until the top of this peak, for example, here, reaches here. So really I can only amplify this a very little bit, unless I do it manually. Or I can go in and click what that is. Let's listen to what this piece is here. All right. Nope, sorry, then the other one. So the other one is I have a filter curve. This can be found on YouTube, and this is designed for a male voice pattern, basically. It de-emphasizes some of DS's. Audition has a similar function. And then I'm amplifying just a little bit across some of the bass spectrum, but then I also drop the very low frequencies below the voice. So even for someone as deep voiced as I am, or, I mean, some guys are obviously quite a bit lower, right? For all those wonderful Barry White voices out there, you don't want stuff that's way down below the vocal range. That tends to be bumps of the mic and all kinds of problem. And you also don't want to amplify problems. So cut it off above 10 hertz or 10,000 hertz, lower. Even if you didn't do these curves, this is the upper mid voice range. Oh, sorry. All right, so I'm going to apply that. Now, I'm going to move this down. Now you'll watch what happens. It'll thicken up some of the bass stuff visually as we apply it. All right, got that? Okay. So at this point, I should have a pretty clean audio from Mr. Mooney. Let's check.
I thought you were going to call me before we started anything. She's even handcuffed. I don't know about this.
Okay, so that's pretty good. Now you may have noticed a little pop there at the end, okay? You can see it right here. So if in quiet spaces there are pops and unpleasant things, there is a way to get rid of that without having to edit it. You highlight the space, edit, remove special, silence audio. Or Control L is the quick key in Audacity for it. Okay? So again, highlight, silence, Control L, and bam, it goes away. I can visually see there shouldn't be anything in here. And I can also bet, just from experience, that's an intake breath. Did you catch that? Intake. It's an inhale. So if you want to be picky and get rid of any breath noises, Control L. Control L. That's going to be a breath noise too, probably.
I didn't mean...
It is. Now, sometimes you want to leave breathy noises in there for the things we do. Sometimes you don't. That's an editing decision. But there are the quick ways that you edit. Again, start with noise reduction from a wide sample set. Then, if you need it, click removal, compression, and any filtration, increasing bass and treble. There's some information out there on the curve. So there's your quick audio editing. Those things can be done in most computers in under 1 minute, and it will make your audio sound a lot better. There you go.